Happy Saturday, everybody. We are live in Stevenson, Alabama, and we already have at least one train on the way. I believe this is 283. It is the BNSF run through intermodal going towards Memphis, Tennessee, and it is going to be coming from CSX going on to the NS Memphis district so it can make its way towards Memphis. So Stevenson is where the CSX Chattanooga sub and the Norfolk Southern Memphis East District converge together, and they converge at this set of signals right in front of me. We are currently facing towards Chattanooga, Tennessee. And also worth noting, there is indeed a solar eclipse today. I have my glasses. Supposedly, it's supposed to get dark around 12 today. That's when the moon's going to go in front of the sun. But we want to try and pan the camera up towards the sky around that time if there are no trains coming. It's kind of cloudy here, but maybe we'll get lucky. South Alabama Rail fan, how's it going? Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in. Okay, I hear a Gevo in the distance. I'm going to go ahead and get ready. No headlights so far. 4 people watching the stream. How's everybody doing today? It's a pretty day to be out trackside. And we're starting to see fall colors up in this part of the world, so it's definitely pretty outside today. So I believe Stevenson is the 112 mile post on CSX.
Detector, milepost 116.7 track, main 1, no detect. Repeat, no detect. Total axle 522, detector out.
So it'll be a couple minutes before this 283 gets here. Whoever dropped the like, I appreciate it very much. Thank you for doing that. And another like, thank you very much. Three likes, thank y'all very much. I do appreciate that. So I don't know how much of this eclipse you're going to be able to see. I've got my glasses on and I'm looking up and I can already start to see a bit of the moon going in front of the sun here. So that's pretty cool. All right, showtime. Okay, that was NS 283 that just passed. It was quite a long one. Took about 7.5 minutes to get by our cameras. Well, my cameras. ALRL Productions, appreciate the heads up. So the 737 you mentioned earlier has already passed by. It actually had an H2 AC 4400 CW liter BNSF 5688. But nice, got a loaded coal train. I guess it's coming south with an SD70 Mac liter. Those are always welcome. 4 likes, awesome. Thanks, everybody. The only southbound between me and Nashville. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I caught a couple other CSX mixed freights earlier today. One was a 518 and another was a 583, but none of them really had anything special on them. So this will be the first good leader that I've gotten on CSX today. So this is the Stevenson Railroad Depot over here. It's got a museum inside of it, but it's only open during the week. So fortunately, I haven't been able to go inside yet. 5 likes. Might be the most I've ever gotten on a live stream. Thank you. There's also a TVAX loaded coal train in the siding at Crow Creek, which is just on the other side of the station from me. And it came through Huntsville yesterday, or a couple days ago, with all UP power. And it's sitting in the siding up here. So, hopefully it'll get a crew, because it's rare to see a UP coal train in these parts. So I believe this depot was built just after the Civil War, and it served both the Memphis and Charleston, which is the predecessor of the Southern and Norfolk Southern, which would be the very far track, and it also serviced the Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis Railroad, which would be the close track, and CSX uses this track closest to me. Which explains the L&N boxcar here, because L&N, I believe it was L&N that took over the Nashville, Chattanooga, and St. Louis. That's a little background on the place. It's a nice train watching spot. I mean, I personally enjoy it. It's not as busy as Decatur, but it still gets a pretty good amount. I think like 25 to 30 a day. South Alabama Rail fan, the Eclipse is supposed to, the moon's supposed to be fully in front of the sun at 12 noon today, but you don't need to look at the sun with a naked eye, because if you do, it will mess with your vision, and I don't think that's repairable, which is why I have my solar eclipse glasses right here with me. This is an annular, I don't know if y'all can read that, but this is an annular eclipse that is happening today. And on April 8th, 2024, which is a Monday, it's going to be a total eclipse, which means the moon will be entirely in front of the sun, and it'll be pretty dark. But to answer your question, the peak is supposed to be around noon today. Which was entirely coincidental for this live stream because I completely forgot about it until yesterday when I was working on some stuff and it just popped into my head. Oh yeah, there's a solar eclipse tomorrow. I should probably get glasses for that. AL Rail Productions, would you happen to know if there's anything coming north out of Chattanooga on CSX, on the Chattanooga sub specifically? If you're still online. Or anybody, really. If not, I imagine 283 is going to have to meet a couple trains. M648 called for 11:25 a.m. Central in Wauhatchie. Okay, so that's gonna come. They're gonna get their crew called in approximately 12 minutes. So we at least have that one in the picture. But I imagine Norfolk Southern's gonna run a few eastbounds because the NS territory between here and Memphis is an east-west line. Oh, there goes my other tripod. It's a bit blustery today, so I have to keep an eye on it too. But I imagine NS is going to be running a few eastbounds this way today at some point. I just don't know what they are. But I imagine 283 is definitely going to have to meet some traffic once it gets to Huntsville. Because it seems like 286 and 283 both have to work Madison, and they usually get there around the same time. So we'll see how it goes. CSX has been dead down here this morning. Ain't they always? Oh man. Nah, it's been a bit. I haven't filmed the NO&M since June, and it was scalding hot up that way that time of year. But spoiler alert, the next video, the next long format video I am going to release is going to be focusing on Amtrak on the Gulf Coast. I've got about 2 hours worth of footage, so it's going to be a monster as far as my long format videos go. But it's just news is coming out a lot about this, and just the situation keeps changing, it seems like. So I'm trying to get my facts as straight as I can before I release the video. Gotcha. Thanks, AL Rail Productions. That sounds about right. Curfews will definitely do that. Railroad curfews. We're talking about, for those that aren't familiar, a railroad curfew is when maintenance work needs to be done on the tracks, and it's best to do maintenance work during the day, so that means most of the traffic is going to run overnight. Now, what did AL Rail Productions say? M648 has a YN3 AC44 leading, and E904 has CSX 7002 leading. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. But the next sighting on NS up from here, well, west of here by their timetable, is Midway. And after that is Brownsboro, where they had two control points, Brock and Asa. And then there's Elko in Huntsville by the rocket at the Space and Rocket Center. And then they've got Irvington and Hobart right before you get to Decatur. I imagine Norfolk Southern uses Midway, but I personally have never seen them stage a meet there. They typically tend to use either Elko or Brock Asa. I imagine Brock Asa is a favorite of theirs because that's dispatcher controlled switches there. Everything east of... I thought I heard a train there for a second, but I think it was just a car. Everything east of the Toyota Mazda plant outside of Madison, Alabama is ABS/dark territory, except for the siding at Brock and Asa. So that's a little bit about the Memphis East District as far as this area goes. So I'm using my main cell phone for this live stream, but can anyone give me a rough estimate of how far Strickland, Tennessee is from Stevenson, Alabama in miles? I'm just curious because it's knocking on an hour since that C307 passed Strickland, Tennessee. Z356. So, okay. Yeah, it should be getting close here soon. Depending on where James is at, that might get here right when the things start getting dark. Right now it's dark because of the clouds, but might get here right as the moon gets fully in front of the sun. Might time it just right. Yeah, I'm taking a look with my glasses on occasion, and it looks like the moon is starting to make a little bit of progress every now and then. So an AL Rail Productions mentions Z356. If you're looking in the chat, that means that is an ID for a Norfolk Southern train that they use up here. So Z is what CSX uses for foreign reroutes, which Norfolk Southern uses trackage rights from Stevenson to get to Chattanooga over CSX. So that is the CSX ID for whatever train this is coming. We will find out when it gets here. Strickland is the J18. Okay, so yeah, that coal train's going to be a bit before he gets here, before it gets here. All right, South Alabama Rail fan, thank you for joining in, and have a good rest of your Saturday. Okay, good. So James, yeah, this train, it'll probably be here a little bit before the Eclipse because it's mostly double track between here and I imagine James. I think it's double track all the way from Stevenson to Bridgeport. Something that I think is nice about this place is that you've got these two lines that converge right here, but there's a tiny little bit of single track before the double track starts on the other side of those boxes over there. So that means that because that single track is right there, I don't get blocked by any trains. So that's a nice little touch for this area. Yes, 288, I believe, had 4247 leading. Norfolk Southern. So far on NS, I've gotten 289, 288, 737, and 283. And on CSX, I've gotten 518 and 583 so far. So 6 trains. Not a bad morning so far. Imagine there's going to be a bit in the afternoon though. Pretty fall day in Stevenson, Alabama. So unless Norfolk Southern decides to surprise us with any eastbound traffic, I think I am going to pan the camera, which is my cell phone, up towards the sun. And maybe you guys can see it, maybe not. We'll give it a shot. Gotcha, so it's gonna be quiet once whatever this train is passes by. Okay, well, that's fine. Once the Eclipse passes by and all that good stuff, we can talk about some current events in railroading, particularly what's going on with the Meridian and Bigby, with CPKC and CSX purchasing and upgrading the line. But for right now, we're just going to wait on this westbound train, northbound, because it's on CSX. So, by railroad timetable, for CSX, the Chattanooga sub is a northbound, southbound line, and the Memphis district is an eastbound, westbound line. Okay, I'm already starting to pick something up. And that was on the CSX road channel, so I imagine that is going to be one of these trains going to Norfolk Southern. The last time I was up in Stevenson, I got about 21 trains from sunrise to sunset, and it was late July. so it was really hot outside. But I got a pretty good bit of rail traffic on both CSX and NS. I don't expect to get as many trains today, seeing as how the days are getting shorter, but we'll see how it goes. If you're just joining in, we are in Stevenson, Alabama, and we have an eastbound train heading for Norfolk Southern on its way. It's northbound because it's on CSX, but once it gets to NS, it'll be eastbound. That's how the timetable stuff works. I don't know who that was talking, but it was on CSX. So let's see, Z356 is the train that is on its way. And that was by Bridgeport a few minutes ago. Bridgeport's not all that far away from here. It might be like 10, 15, 20 minutes by highway. So I expect the train to take that long to get here, if not a little bit longer. I'm going to pan around a bit. This is downtown Stevenson I'm in. And it's a quaint little town. It's nice and quiet. I like it. And it's got the depot here. It'd make a good spot for a rail cam, in my humble opinion. Then again, there are a lot of places that would, but there's a lot that goes into it. Somebody's talking on the CSX road channel, so I imagine it's this Z356. They're probably going to have to call up the NS dispatcher at some point to get trackage towards Huntsville, Decatur, Sheffield, and that way. AL Rail Productions, would you happen to know what that eastbound was passing Decatur about, what, 10 minutes ago? I know they have a spreadsheet that lists all the trains that have passed the camera for that day. So if you're on a computer, you would be able to look at that and see what's going on. If you're on a smartphone, you might have trouble, because I've tried looking at that thing on my smartphone, and every time I open Google Sheets to see the spreadsheet, Google Sheets crashes. See what this is. 6 likes, awesome. If you're just joining, we are in Stevenson, Alabama, and we have a train coming. It's a train that is coming from Chattanooga from CSX, and it's going to take the NS towards Memphis and Huntsville and Decatur and that area. And also, we are about 27 minutes-ish away from the peak of the solar eclipse. Okay, so Z356 just hit the 116.7 detector, so his head end is about 4 miles out. So he's getting close. Four people watching. Alrighty, looks like they got a warrant from the NS dispatcher, so they are cleared to go on to NS. So let's see what they got. He'll be here in a few minutes. And after that, I am going to pan my camera up towards the sky. You might not be able to see much of the eclipse, but apart from the clouds, it should get noticeably dark because of the moon passing in front of the sun. Not a terribly long train, by today's standards anyway. Funny thing, there was a 737 coal train up here, and they were stopped for a bit. And I heard them type in a tone, and they did a rebroadcast of their axle count on that defect detector. Never heard a train do that before. Thought that was really cool. We have a Z356 getting close, and this is going to come from CSX and take Norfolk Southern west. So sit tight. After that, I'm going to pan my camera up towards the sky, and hopefully you guys will be able to see some of this solar eclipse. Yeah, I can already start to see a little bit of progress. You can kind of, maybe you can tell it's getting a little bit darker. It's not going to be an instantaneous thing. It's going to be sort of slow progress, but it's slowly but surely getting dark. starting to get a bit cooler too. Okay, I see headlights, so he is slowly approaching, the train is. So that was NS287. That is... So there's 3 sets of intermodals running this line. One of them is the BNSF pair, 283, 284. Another one is a pair that goes to Croxton, New Jersey. It's 288, 289. And this one is the pair going to Union Pacific, 286 and 287. Alright. Now, I think, let's see, it's 11:55. Let's turn the camera to the sky. We may or may not be able to see much of this, but doesn't hurt to try. Seven likes, awesome. Thank you. If you're joining, we are in Stevenson, Alabama, and we just had CSX Z360. Wait, excuse me. We just had CSX Z356 pass, and it became NS287 when it got onto the NS trackage here. And now we are watching the solar eclipse happen until the next train comes. From where I'm standing, it looks like the moon is about halfway in front of the sun. It's making a crescent right now, but I don't know how much the moon is going to cover the sun up. So apart from this, let's see. 286 is meh. Another one. Z356. I'm just now seeing all these updates. Yeah, 72Z was the Coltrane. Yeah, I'm probably going to be back on. Well, I'm probably going to go live until like 2-ish. I think that's my plan. Go live until about 2. Depends on how my phone battery's doing. I'm at 53%. And honestly, it depends on how hungry I get too. Unfortunately, the eclipse occurred about lunchtime. So I wanted to get it on the stream, but really no place close by to get lunch or anything like that, unfortunately. I think I have to go all the way out to like Highway 72 just to find like a restaurant or something like that. I mean, there's a couple shops down here, but like not many restaurants from what I can see. But right now, we are taking a break from watching trains, and we are watching a solar eclipse happen. It is 12:01. Let's see how we're looking. Well, I thought it was going to cover up the sun more than it has, but I don't know. I think out west it's gonna cover up the sun a lot more. But we'll see how things go. It's getting close to peak time. I'm also taking a break to glance at the signals every now and then in case CSX decides to run something south. I know there's a coal train on the way, but I think that's still a good ways out. That was the Sheffield dispatcher. Well, Memphis District dispatcher, Sheffield dispatcher, West Tennessee dispatcher. NS has changed what they call this line 2 or 3 times since PSR, because originally it was the Memphis East, Memphis West. Originally it was the Memphis East, Memphis West, with the division point being in Sheffield, Alabama. And then around 2020, 2021, they called the line the Sheffield District. And that's what I have it labeled on in my scanner. And then I think here recently they've started calling the line the West Tennessee District, but depending on what dispatcher is on for the day, you'll hear Memphis East, Memphis West, West Tennessee, Sheffield, whatnot. It's a mixed bag. Let me check and see how we're doing with the sun. If you're just now joining in, we are in Stevenson, Alabama, and I believe the solar eclipse is about to peak, but I don't think it's fully in front of the sun. It's definitely not as bright out here as it could be. But I can look through my glasses and see that the moon is about halfway in front of the sun now. But we're going to see how this goes. I think the further west you go with this, the better this gets. But we are in Stevenson, Alabama. There are currently no trains running, so we are focusing our attention on the solar eclipse. Alright, it's 12:08. This should be the peak. Looks like the moon's about halfway in front of the sun. It's making kind of a crescent shape right now. But this might be as dark as it gets. It's not terribly dark, but it's not as bright as it could be. If I start to notice the sun kind of getting bigger through these things, I'm just gonna point the camera back towards the tracks. Thank you for the 8th like, whoever that was. I appreciate it. You know, the last time one of these happened that I recall was in 2017 for the state of Alabama. And I was in college at that time. And I think then it was a full cover. The moon fully covered the sun during that time. But I remember that I had a class right during the peak time of the eclipse, so I couldn't get to see it. But I did get to see it get quite dark outside. But that was the last time I got to see, I will sort of see a solar eclipse take place. So it's cool how they can forecast this stuff. How people know, okay, this is when the next eclipse is going to occur. I think that's really cool. And no word on any trains just yet. So I actually think it's gonna get pretty quiet here soon, because I think AL Rail Productions said the closest eastbound was NS 286, and they have work to do at Madison. So that means we're probably going to be waiting a while, and unless NS decides to run some more westbound traffic, it's pretty much going to be all CSX here we're waiting for. Yeah, I think I can tell the moon is starting to, what's the word? Get out of the way of the sun, shall we say? So I know you guys on the camera can't see this, but it's kind of in the moon is kind of in the 4 o'clock position, 5 o'clock position of the sun right now. seen a signal on CSX yet, but I imagine that loaded coal train is getting close. I don't know if we're going to have anything running out of Chattanooga soon, but right now we're just staring up at the sun, me with my glasses on, watching the solar eclipse for the remainder of it. It peaked just a few minutes ago. We got about 50% coverage over here, but I think the further west you went, the more coverage of the sun the moon had. And I think in some places they were even calling it a ring of fire. Like, I know NASA's got a live stream going right now for it. And naturally, of course mine's nowhere near as good, but still. Figured I'd try to do something with it. It's a pretty day to be trackside anyway. Yeah, the moon's more in the 5 o'clock position now. And it's definitely getting out from in front of the sun. When I see a clear on the signal up here, if I hear anything else railroad traffic wise, I'll turn the camera back towards the tracks. But right now we're watching the remainder of the solar eclipse. The sun is being covered up by the moon, and the moon's pretty much in the, if you're looking at the sun as if it's a clock, the moon's in the 5 o'clock position right now. I've got glasses that I'm looking through to look at the eclipse. Unfortunately, I can't. You guys on the camera can't see it as well. I don't know if putting these in front of the camera would work or not. It might mess with the stream. I don't know. It might be too small for you guys to see anyway, but it is still a pretty day to be trackside in Stevenson, Alabama. I'm actually going to try to put my glasses in front of the camera and see if I can see it on my end. Here goes. Let's see, can we see it? I guess you guys, yeah, I can see it. There it is. You can kind of see the moon in the bottom right corner of the sun there. I hate I didn't think to do that earlier. But if I ever do this again in the future and there is a solar eclipse on the same day I do the live stream, I might just do it again. Still nothing happening on the railroad, but if NS wanted to run that 72Z, now would be a good time. Don't know if they will, though. Probably not. No signal on CSX yet. They've only run 2 trains that I've gotten on camera so far, so hopefully they pick up in the afternoon, later in the day. Know we got a southbound coal train coming that's loaded. It's got a SD70 Mac leader. And Chattanooga right now, but apart from that, I don't know. Maybe Nashville will let some trains loose. It was 10:30 when that coal train was by Strickland, Tennessee, and it's been 2 hours. So unless they tied it down somewhere, it should be getting pretty close, I would think. unless CSX is running trains north. I think it's only going to get brighter from here, so I'm just going to pan back towards the railroad. We are in Stevenson, Alabama, and this is the old railroad depot. On the right-hand side of the depot is the CSX main line going from Chattanooga to Nashville. And on the other side is the Norfolk Southern that joins CSX here. But this is Norfolk Southern's main line from Stevenson to Memphis. And they use trackage rights over the CSX to get to Chattanooga. There's not a whole heck of a lot going on, unfortunately, so I think it's probably the best time to start talking about current events. And I brought along some notes because there's a lot to talk about. The Meridian in Bigby has been in the news a lot lately. It is a short line railroad that I think was going everywhere. It was a short line railroad that was owned by Genesee and Wyoming and operated on the line between Montgomery, Alabama and Meridian, Mississippi. And And originally CSX owned it, L&N owned it before them. And Meridian and Bigby, the original Meridian and Bigby, owned the line from Meridian to Myrtlewood, and the L&N owned the line from Myrtlewood to Montgomery. G&W purchased the line in 2005 up to Burkeville, Alabama. CSX still has ownership of the trackage between Burkeville and Montgomery because of the SABIC plant in Burkeville. That is a major customer of theirs. So MMBR is known for having not the greatest track conditions. Depending on where you're at, the speed limit could be as high as 25 or as high as 10 miles per hour. There have been times when I've gotten a train and been waiting on a train, and based on heads up from another person, it took them an hour and a half, the Meridian and Bigby, to cover about 30 miles, I want to say. So that's due to the track conditions. In fact, MMBR received a lot of negative publicity for having a NASA rocket booster train similar to the one I caught a few weeks ago. MMBR actually had one derail on their trackage. A bridge went out under it in 2007. So Meridian and Bigby is not really well known for their trackage, the condition of their trackage, but CSX and CPKC both look to improve that. They currently, the Meridian and Bigby, I'll probably refer to them as MMB or the Bigby going forward, but the Bigby runs 2 freight trains. L126 is a turn job of sorts from Myrtlewood to Montgomery and back, and L125, I think, is the turn job from Myrtlewood to Meridian and back. And Myrtlewood is the original interchange point from the old days when the original MMB used to interchange with the L&N. And that is still going to be the original. Myrtlewood is still going to be the interchange point between CPKC and CSX. Once this deal goes through, it still has to be approved by the STB. Currently, I believe Meridian and Bigby runs locals around Meridian, Pennington, Alabama for the Georgia Pacific mill they have there, and Selma, Alabama. But that's all going to change once this new deal goes through. Meridian and Bigby also interchanges traffic to the Alabama Gulf Coast Railway in Linden, Alabama. And with this new deal going through, AGR is going to get trackage rights from Linden to Myrtlewood for interchange traffic. So most of that was before the agreement took place in June. And CSX and CPKC both have plans to run intermodal and auto parts over the Bigby to Montgomery to allow for quicker access to Atlanta and Jacksonville, as well as automobile plants that are up and coming in the southeast. And this is, they envision this turning into a pretty busy corridor for traffic going to the southeast from Mexico. CPKC said they would give G&W a couple of their lines up in Canada in return for their portion of the Meridian and Bigby, and CSX is going to give G&W cash money for their portion of the line, but that number is not known. Most of this information is coming from Wikipedia or Trains Magazine. Trains Magazine has done a really good job of covering the news unfolding about this line. But Meridian and Bigby is pretty close to where I'm originally from. It's like 30-45 minutes. I never thought I would have seen the day something like this would have happened. I'm really excited for it. it's going to be really cool to see CPKC, essentially Kansas City Southern and Canadian Pacific traffic running over the Bigby. CSX traffic as well. CPKC section is being called the Western Line, and CSX is being called the Eastern Line. And again, main focus, automobile, intermodal. Schneider has announced that they intend to use the corridor in the future. Let's see, what else? According to Trains Magazine, I believe it is, this corridor will be about 158 miles shorter than the interchange between CPKC and CSX in New Orleans. So that's going to be a significant improvement for travel. So both railroads are currently focused on upgrading the line to 25 miles an hour speed limits continuously. That's still pretty slow for intermodal traffic, high priority intermodal traffic in my opinion. Lost both tripods. Oh man. I'll just go handheld for right now. That could have gone better. Sorry about that. Well, I guess that's going to be a blooper reel going forward. Shoot. Let me level the tripod again, and then I'll continue on. Well, that could have gone better, but such is life. Okay. Where the heck was I? Okay. So, this route is 158 miles shorter than the current CPKC CSX interchange through New Orleans. So that's going to shave off a significant amount of time. A lot of the infrastructure is really old on the Bigby, including some bridges that are around 85 years old. I know there is one drawbridge outside of the GP plant at Pennington that people still talk about to this day, as I think it used to share the road actually with the train, and it used to freak people out like crazy. But I imagine that's going to change going forward. Let's see here. So as far as upgrades for the line as a whole, CSX is going to bear the brunt of it, because as far as I know, there are no sidings between Myrtlewood and Montgomery that can hold train meets and stuff like that. They don't need a siding right now because L126 is the only train that runs out that way. But that's something CSX is going to have to think about going forward. the Trains Magazine article went into a lot of detail on traffic, but didn't give a specific amount of trains other than a set of 3 trains. I think there's actually one siding west of Myrtlewood, but that's used for storing cars and stuff like that. So, seeing as how this line mostly runs through my neck of the woods, these are my thoughts. MMBR basically already has 2 trains, L125 and L126. So that's 2 already happening right now. And there's been talk of CPKC rerouting traffic from New Orleans up to this line. And most of that goes on CSX trains 521 and 520. Oh, well, it looks like I was offline for a bit there. Whoops. I don't know how much of that I need to repeat. But anyway, both lines really need to upgrade the infrastructure. CSX especially. They're going to be dealing with the brunt of that. Let's see. MMBR already has 2 trains running over the line. I think they're going to have another set of mixed freights because there's been talk of rerouting traffic from the NO&M that CPKC has running on CSX. This will be trains in 521 and 520. Auto rack and intermodal are going to be the main focus of this line. So I don't know how soon this is going to materialize, but I anticipate that CPKC is going to want to run intermodal from Mexico or Shreveport or Dallas or wherever to Fairburn, Georgia, which is right outside Atlanta, and Jacksonville, Florida, potentially to FTC. So that's like 8 trains right there, not to mention auto rack traffic. And I think they're going to run at least 1 auto rack train. It may just be to Montgomery where they parted out. They've got quite a few facilities popping up over the southeast. I know they got one directly in Montgomery. I know they've already got Hyundai there. But, oh crap, the wind's picking up again. But, once they get a few more sidings on the line, I think we could expect to see about 8 to 10 trains maybe on the Meridian and Big Beat. 2 sets of mixed freights, 2 sets of intermodals, and a set of auto racks at least. That would be my suspicion. This also isn't taking into account as needed traffic like grain, military. They've already run 1 military train over the line that had an SD40-3 liter. If you haven't watched Louisiana Rail Productions video on that, I recommend it. They also actually ran a military train through today with a CP and a UP engine headed towards Montgomery. If I was home in Thomasville, I would have most certainly gone after that, but that would have meant no live stream. Another thing I expect, if this deal gets approved and if CPKC and CSX get their way, is work trains from both railroads. And I think it will be interesting to see what engines they put on them, especially if it's CPKC. Let's see. So, let's talk about a couple of other things. UP and NS. Trains Magazine recently reported that CPKC started enforcing an 8,500-foot train length rule on the Speedway. And I think that makes sense because running extremely long trains, longer than most of the sidings, is a quick way to bottleneck your railroad up. And UP didn't like it. The train that this affects the most is the ZLAAI, which is 29S CPKC I-968, I believe, and the UPZAILA, which is I-969 NS29S. The old 225 and 226 intermodal trains that go from Los Angeles to Atlanta. And UP's abiding by this rule, and they're rerouting most of the traffic to Memphis, Tennessee, but it's not as fast as the Speedway. Let's see. Not long after CPKC made this rule, UP made deals with NS and CSX to start interchanging traffic from Mexico to NS and CSX in Memphis to go to Atlanta and the rest of the Southeast. And UP is, granted, this is not going to be as quick as the Speedway, but UP is focusing on what can we do now, and this is what their solution is. Up here, I have already noticed a couple of NS 204s that have been running. Some of them running to Sheffield and terminating there. I think one actually ran to Austell a couple days ago, but those are UP traffic, I'm pretty confident. And another reason I chose Stevenson is because both of these lines, if this were to go through, would see that traffic, because to get to Memphis on CSX, you have to go through Nashville, and this is the Nashville to Chattanooga main line, while NS has the Memphis to Chattanooga main line here. So both ends of that traffic would go through Stevenson. Let's see. And granted, I'm just a guy that likes trains, but one thing I do find interesting is that UP sort of did an operating change, and it wound up resulting in NS 246 being abolished. That's another West Coast to Atlanta intermodal train that comes from California. Granted, this was mostly international traffic on 246, but I can't help but wonder why on earth UP just couldn't put the remainder of the ZLAAI traffic on 246 and run a counterpart train. That's just me, though. What else? What else? Norfolk Southern. Sort of the elephant in the room. It goes without saying NS can't be happy about this, because they put about 30% of the funds into the Meridian Speedway, and they have been enjoying exclusive rights to that line as the only Eastern Class 1 to be able to operate over it. And now CPKC is making deals with CSX to take traffic away from Norfolk Southern, so they can't be happy about it. Here in CSX chatter, we might have a train soon. Two questions come to my mind with this. One, will CPKC reroute traffic from NS to this new Meridian and Bigby corridor? I think that's pretty likely, but another question, how much? Don't know. We'll have to wait and see. That's really all the notes I got. That's all I was able to put together over the past couple of days. Still a lot rolling around in my head, a lot of possibilities, but I think it's an exciting line, especially if you're a rail fan in my area, which there aren't many. Something I never thought I'd ever see, but I think it's going to be interesting. The NS3B district, which runs through my hometown of Thomasville, down to Mobile from Birmingham, is also getting CTC upgrades for intermodal and coal traffic. But I think I'm going to focus on that with a future video or two or more. But that's just regarding the current events for the what is now the Meridian and Bigby. M&B is still going to exist, but they're going to exist in the form of local service around Meridian, well, not Montgomery. They're going to be operating between Meridian and Myrtlewood in terms of local service. And I expect that to be in Meridian proper. They're going to retain their yard. And I also expect that to be at the GP plant in Pennington. I think CSX is probably going to take over the local operations in Selma, which there's only a handful of industries over in Selma. I know Craigfield Meridian has an industrial spur out to Craigfield and Selma, and they have some industries out there. So that's like the one local Meridian and Bigby operates. So a lot to talk about there. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, I heard a little bit of chatter a while ago, so I think it's something else coming from CSX. We don't have a signal yet, so I think it's something coming north towards Stevenson. We'll have to wait and see. How is my battery looking? 35%. Took another look up at the sun, and there's a small portion of the moon in like the 7 o'clock position of the sun, so the solar eclipse is just about over. Wind's picking up, but I've got my hand on both tripods. Oh, hey, I totally missed. Wow, I totally missed all these comments. Kyle Stevens, how's it going? Yeah, you were asleep when the last eclipse happened. NS geometry train coming out of Mobile. Gotcha. Yeah, they had that run a couple days ago, I know. Yeah, I think that, yeah, Bama Rail fan, I think that bridge is going to go down. That's one of the, I know the article mentioned, like, what? A lot of the bridges on the line were 85 years old. So, that one's probably going to go, but I've heard plenty of stories about that one bridge, about how cars used to share the bridge with the railroad. So, I've seen pictures of it, too, as well. So, you can imagine that was quite nerve-wracking for drivers back in the day to wonder, oh my goodness, is there a train coming? Am I going to get run over on the bridge? But interesting times ahead for the Meridian and Bigby. And the 3B2. Sounds like we have an NS train coming. Yeah, Joy D, you probably saw that blooper. Yeah, it's been okay. My other tripod is a lot more flimsy than the one that the live stream was on, so the fact that it knocked this one down really surprised me. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. It's been a pretty day. I've never been out to Myrtlewood. I didn't hear much of that. I've never been out to Myrtlewood personally, but that's somewhere I'm going to have to check out next time I'm home. Oh, Brandon. Ah, gotcha. Well, you have a good one, man. Thanks for tuning in. Who was conducting the oncoming train? So the way this location works is that my camera is pointing towards Chattanooga, and everything beyond those signals is CSX trackage. This is the CSX Chattanooga sub, and this is their line from Chattanooga to Nashville. And let me move one of my tripods. The track on the other side of the CSX, on the other side of that diesel in the museum over there, is Norfolk Southern going to Memphis. So I have reason to believe this is a Norfolk Southern train. They're toning up the NS dispatcher. As for what train it is, we'll have to wait and see.
close. 116.7, track main 1.
Gotcha. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. I'll be honest, I haven't really been paying attention to the Speedway much, but if they're revamping the Meridian in Bigby, I imagine CPKC is going to make changes to accommodate the new traffic. Interesting times ahead. They are getting close. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps the channel out. I genuinely appreciate it. We've gotten 8 likes so far. I think that's the most I've ever gotten on a live stream so far. So that's really good. Actually had a short release yesterday. Work's been kind of draining the crap out of me here lately, so I've just been trying to upload content when I can, and I just got a wild urge to say, heck with it, I'm just gonna upload a video. And I uploaded a short, and it got like 2,800 views, 43 likes, and I gained about 14 subscribers from that short. So I'm really pleased with how that went. But if you haven't already, please like the video. I genuinely appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Milepost 116.7, track main 1. No defects. Repeat, no defects. Total axle for Niner
We're about to see what it is. I got a feeling it's a C6M leader. That is a C6M leader. That's a P5 I hear. Maybe CSX will run something after this NS train passes. They've been pretty quiet here lately. I know there's a coal train coming south, and it's got a Mace leader, an SD70 Mace rebuild. To check for headlights, but I'm afraid the wind's going to blow my tripods down again. There is a headlight cresting the hill. So the train is here. C6M leaders are a mixed bag when it comes to horns, but it's mostly like K5LA. It's just a rebuilt Dash 9 is all there is to it. I believe they're going to stop up here at this signal until they can get a hold of the NS dispatcher and get a track warrant. Gotcha. I think this is a 4100 series I'm hearing. That's leading this train here. If you're just joining in, we have a train on the other side of the crossing that is slowly approaching. It is going to stop at the signal, try to get a hold of the NS dispatcher so they can continue on towards Huntsville, Decatur, and Memphis. That general area. It looks like a mixed freight, so there's a chance this is NS 363. I think 364 and 365 are usually early morning trains for this part of the world. So 363 would fit the bill, but let's see what they say. Let's see if the Memphis dispatcher picks up. great day to be out for a ride, and also a great day to be watching trains. Now, hopefully the dispatcher picks up the phone and gives these guys a warrant. Gotcha, and that's Vicksburg sub. That's west of Jackson, right? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I've been to Jackson before, but yeah, I let's see. So the Meridian sub is like Meridian to Vicksburg then, and it goes through Jackson. I thought Jackson was like the end of that subdivision.
C60814. Taking you there? I don't know, sir. We called them about 4 or 5 times when we get there.
So
Here we go.
Z608 is the CSX ID for this train. I'm already starting to run out of battery, so let me plug my scanner in. That way we won't be entirely in the dark. Okay, 101. That's what this train is. This is a train that goes from...
Going north there, 608.
Let's see. Let's see what they say. 101 is a Bulls Gap to Memphis, Tennessee train. And this train goes straight to UP, Union Pacific in Memphis.
All right, thanks, sir.
So this is train 101 we are waiting on to head west. I use the Uniden BC125AT. And it's a pretty solid scanner. It's held up well over the years. It's just the rechargeable batteries don't last as long as they don't even last a full day for me just about. And I charge everything overnight. So I think I'm just gonna go to the flip the switch in my scanner and just start using Duracell batteries or something like that. All right, he's got a signal. There's that P5 horn. NS101 is about to get on the move here. right, that was NS 101. Now, let's see if CSX does anything. I was told that there was a loaded coal train that passed Strickland, Tennessee at 10:30 today with an SD70 Mace leader. And it's about 1:30, so that should be getting pretty close. We'll see what CSX does. Well, that's cool. You got a friend as the engineer. It's crazy because most of my friends that I've known from rail fanning have started to work for the railroad now. So I can say I know a handful of folks that work for short lines or class ones. Either of those two. The moon is almost out from in front of the sun. There is a tiny sliver of it left, but it's starting to get cloudy now. Well, it's a small cloud going over. Still nothing from CSX. If we don't hear anything from CSX, I might just call the stream because my phone battery is getting kind of low. And I don't know how far out this coal train is. I would have liked to have gotten it on the stream, but I don't think that's actually going to transpire. For the person just joining in, you just missed an NS101. Didn't really have anything special for power, but I'm anticipating CSX is going to do something really quick, but if they don't, then I'm just going to call the stream. I know there's a coal train headed south and it's got an ST-70 Mace leader. So that's kind of what I'm holding out for. Yeah, I can barely see the moon in front of the sun anymore, so this solar eclipse is basically over. And right now, I'm just waiting on a signal to turn on CSX. I don't know if it will, but that's the hope. The solar eclipse is basically over. We are in Stevenson, Alabama, waiting on something to come down the railroad. We've seen a ton of bikers come through today, so like there's gotta be an event somewhere. I think like 20 came through at one time and went on over the crossing in front of the camera. So that was cool to see. Gonna give it a few more minutes, and if I don't hear of anything coming or don't have any indication of anything coming, I think I'm gonna call a stream here. Gonna call the stream and grab some lunch. Actually going to give it about 10 more minutes, I think. Let's see what happens. Actually, I think I'm just going to call it right now. Decent stream. Traffic was okay. Unfortunately, CSX was a no-show. But, thank you all for watching. Oh, hey, here's a person. I was just about to call the stream. It's not a whole heck of a lot going on. We're waiting on CSX to do something. I think they're going to do something. There's a southbound coal train with a mace leader that should be getting close. But haven't seen the signal change yet. Don't know what NS is going to do. They ran a 101 through not long ago. But Phone's getting low on battery, so we might just give it to the top of the hour to see if they do anything. Let me see. I'm going to try and charge my phone without causing another blooper like I did earlier. Okay, I guess that works. Phone's charging, so we can go on longer if needed. Yeah, this coal train was probably a few miles outside of Nashville at 10:30, and it's been 3 hours and 15 minutes since I got that update. So I'm thinking it should be getting close. I'm hoping it's getting close. Still a pretty day out. Got to see a solar eclipse too. It's basically over now. It got a little bit dark here, but the moon was pretty much over half of the sun. But right now, I'm just waiting on something to come down the railroad. So far, it's been, as far as the stream is concerned, it's been nothing but NS traffic coming from Chattanooga over CSX. And they've been taking their line on towards Huntsville and Decatur and Sheffield in that area. I know the closest eastbound is 286, and it's probably working Madison right now, so it's going to be a bit before it gets over here. I think I'm going to give it to the top of the hour, and if nothing changes on that signal, then I call the stream. But then again, knowing my luck, the signal's probably going to turn green for the southbound right as soon as I call the stream. So Ooh. Just killed a hornet that landed on my phone. Gonna give it about 11 more minutes and then I'm gonna call it, I think. Unless something changes on the signal. 5 more minutes and I think I'm going to call it. It's a darn shame the stream's going to end on a dud. Really hoping this coal train would make an appearance. It's a couple more minutes until 3 o'clock. Well, no, 2 o'clock rather. We've been going for over 3 hours. Going to be calling it here soon. Wait until the top of the hour just cause. I don't know if that signal's going to change anytime soon. But knowing my luck, it could possibly change once I end the live stream. But I'm going to start, I guess, wrapping it up right now. If you attended the stream, I greatly appreciate it. We reached 9 likes, and I think that's an all-time high. Ooh, that signal head on the bottom is wobbling. That is not good. Anyway, we reached 9 likes on the stream today, and that's an all-time high for this channel. So if you liked, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. But no change on the signal just yet. So unfortunately, we're probably going to be calling the stream here pretty soon. But thank you for, let's see, it's 1:59, giving it till 2. It's basically over. I'm just talking for the sake of talking. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll try to do more streams like this if I can, but all things considered, thank you for watching, and have a good day. Have a good Saturday.